There are people out there who have never touched a MacBook Neo, will never buy one or try it, and yet they're in the comments of videos telling everyone it's not a real computer or it's just for students and old people. That's ridiculous. There are people from every walk of life who are looking at a computer, and this could be a good match for them. But instead, there's someone right now who is going to be overspending an extra $500 for a computer they don't even need. I know there's a lot of folks out there that want the Neo and would love to get it at its price. This video is to help those of you who would like to get the Neo and to get a better idea of, could this be a good match for you? If you're a tech person or someone who knows they need more than the Neo, this isn't for you, but I hope you'll watch this video. I know that I like the MacBook Air. For what I do and the amount of apps I like to have open, it's the sweet spot for me. But I also know my workflow is different than others. This video is for the person who doesn't need a powerhouse computer, but they feel the pressure to spend more because they're reading stuff in the comments. I don't want people to spend more than they need to. I'll put links to the Neo down in the description, and I'll also put a link in the description to a video I made. And at the end of this one, that's my experience over 48 hours of using the Neo. So you can see my reaction and things I was experiencing at different points over that 48 hours. So you might want to check that out. It may help you out. The MacBook Neo starts at $599 or $499 with the student discount. This is Apple's most affordable computer. It's available in 4 colors: silver, blush, citrus, and indigo, which I'm using. It has an aluminum body, a 13-inch screen, the same keyboard found on the MacBook Air. It has up to 16 hours of battery life and a 1080p FaceTime camera. When it comes to sound, it sounds okay. Now, I don't want to oversell this device at all. I want to be realistic, and the criticisms against this are legit. It is an A18 Pro chip. That is an iPhone chip. And iPhone chips do have limitations. One of them is the 8 gigabytes of RAM. That isn't a lot of RAM if you like to have a lot of apps open. If you like to have a lot of things open at the same time, not the best machine for that. You know, get a MacBook Air. There's no Thunderbolt on this. So if you want to use a Thunderbolt hub or you want faster Thunderbolt drives, this isn't going to work for you. That was something that surprised me. I plugged in my USB-C just going, okay, it's going to work fine. And then I went, oh, it's a Thunderbolt dock. So now I don't have my 2 cameras connected up. I don't have Ethernet that's plugged into that. I don't have some of those different things. So if you need Thunderbolt, not a good machine for that. This has 2 USB-Cs, and I go into more detail in that video I talked about earlier, so check that out after. Another thing, this doesn't have a P3 color gamut screen. It is sRGB, and it isn't as nice as the MacBook Air, but it's a good looking screen. I don't think most people are going to notice a difference with that, but it's something to be aware of. It also starts at 256 gigabytes of storage, or for $100 more, you can get 512, which also includes Touch ID. If you like to have a lot of files on there, this may limit you. I can do 4K editing on this, but with 256 gigabyte hard drive, when I move things onto the hard drive to edit from it, I couldn't put one library on there. Some of the footage I wanted was in a different library, but the hard drive didn't have enough room for that. If you want Touch ID, you got to pay for the one that's $100 more. And these are all real concerns. I don't want to dismiss that stuff and say they're not. But here's the thing. The people who are saying this is not a computer for real work, they're wrong. I'm sorry, they're wrong. There are all different types of people working out there. I know plenty of people that make over $250,000 a year that this machine would be perfect for them. I know a pediatrician who she needs to write emails. She needs to look at medical documents. She needs to look at possibly x-rays on it, research on it, and this is going to handle all of those things fine. There's lawyers out there that I know that are not tech savvy at all, but they're looking at emails, researching, writing up things, doing some Zoom calls, telehealth for the doctors, all that stuff can be done through this. You have teachers out there who are using Google Classroom and they're dealing with their students through a computer, and they're using Safari and writing emails and doing Zoom calls. All those things, it's going to handle it well. My neighbor is a carpenter, and there's other tradespeople out there that need a computer to do quotes, to do emails, to look stuff up, and they're not necessarily going to do more than that. Maybe some invoicing on it. So through a browser, through QuickBooks or something. Think about it, tech folks out there, or even think about yourself. How into tech are you? My wife, this would be perfect for her. She's a producer for events. She is not tech savvy at all. She's using Microsoft Teams, Word, Excel, Outlook. She's using Safari and Chrome, Zoom calls occasionally, and she's not doing all of those things simultaneously. She might be on a Zoom call and looking something up, or she's checking some emails and then browsing, but it's not heavy lifting. It doesn't matter whether you're making $500,000 a year or $50,000 a year. Nobody should really buy more computer than they need. Why throw money at it that you don't have to? Another group out there are people who want to try out a Mac, who are using Windows. This is a great entry point. You're not spending $1,200 to maybe like a Mac. This is a little more tempting at $600. And window users who are looking at a $600 computer, I'm sorry, there's a lot of crap PCs out there. And this is a high quality computer. Material wise, trackpad's nice. The keyboard feels like my MacBook Air, and it doesn't feel like you're cutting corners. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people who are leaving negative comments haven't used one, aren't going to ever buy one, and they're not the target audience for this, but sometimes they're the loudest voice. My experience with this device is that I was surprised I could scrub through 4K footage fine. I could do pretty much everything I needed on this. I just couldn't do it all at the same time. I would have to kind of pick the heavy lifting I wanted to do at any given point. When it comes to the actual editing, it could handle it fine. When I opened up Claude, it was doing well with Claude, and but if I opened them up both simultaneously, it was taxing the RAM. But check out my video after this one. You'll see that I feel like I put it through its paces, and it kept up. Even when the RAM was like fully loaded, nothing was stuttering on me. So think about it. It'll do anything you want it to do. One at a time though. But I like to have like 8 different apps open while I'm making videos and doing stuff. So not a great one for that. But don't listen to me. There's a lot of great reviewers out there who have had great things to say about it, who have really put this device to the test. Now, something I don't think people are thinking about, and there are legitimate concerns with this. If you think about a Windows PC and you had 8 gigabytes of RAM on it, that is not going to be enough for Windows now. But something to think about with this is Apple's making the operating system and the device. And if you look at their iPad lineup, you go with the base iPad, that thing is going to get updates and work well for 5 years. You have the Pro that brings more to it, but in day-to-day tasks, it's not going to blow away that base level iPad. The thing that really makes me have more faith in this device is that it is Apple doing the hardware and the software. So they can always tweak things to keep the performance going on this. And they're not going to just make this obsolete in a year or two. They will tweak it to keep this thing going, especially as they sell more and more of these. Now, something I'd like to point out, and because let's talk about the future-proof thing. When you're using 8 gigabytes RAM, and when the base model has 256 gigabytes of storage, there's legitimate concerns on how many years you're going to get out of this device. But think about the people who are using the same Mac for 10 years. There's been a lot of changes that have happened since the old Intel Macs, but their workload doesn't necessarily need more. What I like to think about, and this I applied to my MacBook Air purchase, is I took my loaded MacBook Pro that I used for 4.5 years, and let's just call it 5 years. I divided that $4,000 I spent on it over 5 years, and that's $800 a year. I went and bought a MacBook Air for $1,600. So I need to have it for 2 years. I don't need to have it for 5 years if I'm going with that same average. Think about the computer that you're using and say you've used it for 6, 7, 8 years. Divide that price up. And then look at this and go, I don't need to get 8 years out of it. In the time you kept that more powerful, loaded, future-proof machine, you buy a couple of Neos over that lifespan. When it comes to future-proofing, we have no idea what we need in the future. Most likely, if you're with your job type of work you do, what you need now is going to keep working on the device. But if there's some real breakthrough and you committed to a more expensive machine and you got to get your 5 years out of it, the Neo, you're like, go resell it and then pick up a new, more powerful Neo. If you produce music or you're using large language models or Lightroom, doing photo editing, you know if you need more than this. We all know if we need more than that. But if you're on the fence with this, don't underestimate this. And again, watch some more videos. Just don't necessarily let the comments deter you if the video itself is actually helping you. The right question to ask about this device isn't, is it a work computer? The real question is to ask, does my daily workflow and what I need a computer for fit this device? And that's where we all have different needs. So I don't want a tech nerd like myself to turn you because I need more. And yeah. So hopefully this helps you out. Let me know in the comment section. Now, if you made it this far, please consider subscribing, check out future videos. And if you can, give this one a like, I do appreciate it. Now, again, check out this video here of my experience. I made notes of what it was like to use this computer. I check in after 6 hours. Here's my experience. Maybe it was 8 hours. I check in 24 hours later. Here's the limits I've noticed, what's worked well. And then a final check-in 48 hours later. So go check that out now that I've said check-in a million times. Thanks for watching. Bye.